Wherever improvements are necessary, whether infrastructural or otherwise, they'll be made to those areas under the portfolio of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources. That commitment by the minister responsible today during a tour of hubs for inter-island and international commerce, Potters Key and Arawak Key. Carla Palmer reports on what the minister found.
Having seen the fish fry at Arawak Key, up close and personal, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources, the Honourable V. Alfred Gray, describes the facility as in pretty good shape. Apart from the need for improved landscaping, Minister Gray says he's pleased with the overall condition of the facility.
So in the next few days, we will certainly ensure that the grounds of Arawak Key, particularly the grass, is cut, and we may need to change the kind of grass that is there. It looks almost like bush.
With hundreds of tourists and locals patronizing vendors there, Minister Gray says security should be increased.
A few days ago, they broke into the kitchen area of the tourism-operated facilities there and took most of the equipment. So security will be another concern for me, particularly after the general places are closed for business. There is no security other than the police station, which is close enough, but thieves know when the police is on their beat.
At the Potters Key dock, the vital sea link to the Family Islands, farmers and fishermen, Mr. Gray is not impressed.
I am very unhappy with the condition of the stalls on Potters Key dock. I'm advised that most of them are inoperable. People have moved away from the stalls and putting their things basically on the ground. And I'm not sure the reason for that, but the stalls themselves need repair generally and painting.
Meantime, here at the Produce Exchange, officials rate the conditions here as less than ideal when it comes to the proper storage of produce.
This is not an ideal situation here, but it's a half-step measure. Ideal situation is the floors, of course, should have been floors and walls. All should be concrete. It should be sealed so that you're not going to get any contaminants going into it.
Simeon Pinder, Director of Agriculture, focused on the shortcomings of the Produce Exchange.
Ideal conditions, of course, means that you have to control temperature. You also have to control humidity. So in the case of onions, which is a dry product, you want to be able to remove humidity from the air and also keep the product dry. In the case of wet tomatoes and moist items, you want to be able to maintain the humidity level high enough to avoid shrinkage and wrinkling of the product.
Minister Gray says the government will engage in bids very soon for this work to be carried out. Carla Palmer, ZNS News.
Another over-the-hill community is singing the praises of urban renewal workers. They were in the Thompson Lane area just off East Street where they demolished a home, but the story doesn't end there. LaDon Davis explains.
It's a blue wooden structure that sits in the heart of Thompson Lane off East Street in the Centerville constituency. A closer look reveals that the structure has a myriad of issues that's not conducive to living standards. The roof is caved in, a clothesline and mini kitchen area is in the center, and the bathroom leaves much to be desired. Michael Jones, director and contractor of the inline project, says it saddens him to see that Bahamians are still living this way in the 21st century. Mr. Jones says after stumbling inside the home that belongs to a young man neighbors called Herman, he couldn't help but to invest more than $25,000 towards the construction of a brand new home.
What we're going to have to do is just simply start all over. And we're going to try to get him back. We're thinking about around 4 to 6 weeks we should be able to get it done. It's going to be a wooden structure. We're going to try and modernize as best we can. And I think it should be fairly decent when he's finished with it.
Residents we spoke to say that this building has been an eyesore for many years, but they are pleased that their neighbor is now getting a second home.
It makes me feel very good because of the condition he was in for a very, very, very long time. He was in a bad condition. And urban renewal just came up fast and effective, as I say.
Well, actually, I grew up in this community, and there was a lot of abandoned buildings and a lot of properties with large debris on it for years. And You know what I mean? It's a real sight to see that the properties, the abandoned buildings are being cleaned and the properties are being cleared away. You know, it's more room right now, fresh air, and you know, it's really nice to see right now.
Officer in charge of the Centerville Urban Renewal Office, Inspector Ricardo Richardson, says over the past few weeks, his team has demolished more than a dozen dilapidated and abandoned buildings. He gave us this update on their progress.
My team and I were doing some walks through the community, and we came across this place which we thought was just an abandoned building, and a concerned neighbor told us that there's a young man that lives inside the building. We made checks and we find, of course, he was living in there. I mean, it's the place it's a terrible place, a terrible condition to be in.
Mr. Jones represents the best of the spirit of urban renewal to eradicate the blight of inner city communities, with neighbors helping neighbors and instilling pride and hope. LaDawn Davis, ZNS News.
Hundreds of children are back in the Z Bandits summer camp being held at the E.P. Roberts Primary School on Lincoln Boulevard. Organizer Eugene Cawley, a lifelong resident of the Angliston community and an avid junkanooer, says this camp is about more than junkanoo, though.
Celebrating our 7th annual. We are located at the E.P. Roberts Primary School, and the rationale for this program is to assist school-age children in developing useful skills and to foster a good work ethic with a view for a successful career in the future. So we happen to be one of these different variety summer youth camp, and we offer the following, such as cooking classes, sewing classes, dance, basketball, junkanoo arts, and carpentry. The camp will be running from July 9th all the way up to August 16th.
Now, the Z Bandits leader reiterated that with all the problems of crime, violence, and teen pregnancy, this camp aims to equip the youth of the Angliston community with some life skills.
You have to offer them some useful skills to better themselves for the future. You know, most people would offer basketball and maybe some other sports, but we try to give them a career path, you know, from our standpoint. That's why we offer the following, like I mentioned earlier, the cooking classes, the sewing, the tailoring, dance, and junkanoo arts.
Welcome to tonight's edition of the Business Beat, sponsored by Royal Fidelity. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings. Let's take a look at what's making business news today.
Finance Minister Prime Minister Perry Christie was asked by reporters to comment on Standard & Poor's recently raising the Bahamas' short-term foreign currency rating to A2 from A3. Here's his response.
And it's a matter that I would want to discuss with my colleagues, including the Minister of State for Finance and our consultant, James Smith, before I publicly comment on it.
This month's Bahamas Investor magazine features New Bahamas Financial Services Board Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Aaliyah Allen, who says she's prepared to put in the legwork needed to raise the jurisdiction's visibility on the international stage. Other key interviews include question and answer sessions with UBS Wealth Management Division executives and the newly appointed Superintendent of the Insurance Commission. The biannual magazine focuses on offshore wealth management strategies, opportunities for direct investment, and the lifestyle advantages available in the Bahamas. In international business, U.S. plane maker Boeing has announced a historic order from United Airlines for 150 Boeing 737s in a deal worth up to $14.7 billion. The order comprises 100 of the new Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes and 50 next-generation 737-900 aircraft. Remember, you can send us an email or join us on www.znsbahamas.com or become our friend on ZNS's official Facebook page.
And that will end tonight's edition of the Business Beat, sponsored by Royal Fidelity. I'm Altaviz Munnings. Thanks so much for watching.